Hey, true believers, it's Englentine here. Got an article from Bleeding Cool of all things here, and this, of course, means take it with a grain of salt. You know, it is Rich Johnston, which everybody really doesn't trust a lot. But I read it and I thought it was interesting. And if it's true, of course, it's pretty cool. But it does play on our confirmation bias. So, once again, Bleeding Cool, but confirmation bias. Play it how you want. It's Bleeding Cool's bestseller list, 15th October 2017. Legacy barely has a leg to stand on. That's what they title it. Basically, they did call around and got a list of the top 10 books that were selling. It says, this is the top 10 Bleeding Cool bestseller list as compiled by a number of comic stores from their sales on Wednesday and Thursday. It measures what are known as the Wednesday Warriors. We are such of those who can't wait till the weekend to get this week's comics. And yes, I am pimping out the comic shop I go to right here, Coliseum of Comics in Kissimmee, Florida. It's awesome. And for a second time, every single shop is reporting that their bestseller for the week was Metal number 3. It's a rare... fuck a donkey. And for a second time, every single shop is reporting that their bestseller for the week was Metal number 3. It's still a rare occurrence for any comic to do that given the desperate nature, or disparate as they're saying here instead, of comic shops, but Metal has done it twice. But Mr. Miracle's continued performance may be the surprise for many, outselling Flash and Amazing Spider-Man with its 3rd issue. And Baby Teeth continues to sneak into the top 10 too, outselling every Marvel title save Spidey. And I have read Baby Teeth, and I can recommend it. Yes, it is a good book. So here is the top 10 list that they compiled. Number 1 was Dark Knight's Metal number 3. Number 2 is Action 989. Action Comics, excuse me. Number 3 was Detective Comics 966. Number 4, Mr. Miracle number 3. Can you believe we live in a world where Mr. Miracle's in the top 10? Number 5 is Peter Parker's Feminist Agenda, The Amazing Spider-Man 789. Number 6 is The Flash 32. Number 7, Hal Jordan and the Green Lantern Corps, number 30. Number 8 is Wonder Woman, number 32. Number 9 is Justice League of America, or as I call them, Batman and the Outsiders, number 16. And bringing up the rear of the top 10 list, number 10 is Baby Teeth, number 5. And then they were kind enough just to give a little shout out to everybody who participated in it. And my new favorite comic book store name is Graham Crackers Comics. I'm sorry, that's just awesome. I like Sailfish also as well. Pretty good comic book store names there, guys. Dr. Knows. I like the ones also that try to go for obscure references. I once worked for a comic shop called Starbase K7. Good luck to anybody who knows that reference. And we continue. The rest of the article is pretty much just a whole bunch of quotes that they took off of this store. So here they go. We have no Marvel in our top 10 this week. The Marvel lenticular covers have managed with their renumbering and images with titles of other books to confuse customers. Dark Knight's Metal 3 was, of course, the #1 selling book this week. Image's Walking Dead variant covers are giving Marvel's titles a run for their money. And it continues, everyone's buying Dark Knight's Metal. Haven't found anyone loving it and raving about it, but they all buy it on the reputation of Snyder and Capullo's past works. For Rantin' and Ravin', I recommend my video reviews about it because basically I turn into a big fangirl, but I digress. Less interest this week on the Marvel books, but still another solid week with lots of good comics for everyone, published by everyone. That is a simple and vague term, which I will also please note that there are no names attributed to these quotes, so take them with a grain of salt, as is everything. If you don't trust Bleeding Cool when they don't talk about what you like, don't trust them when they do, but this might just be something, so that's why I'm continuing. Is there anything bigger in comics than Dark Knight Metal? Sort of. The Button hardcover did amazingly, and additionally, we had several requests for the individual issues, despite the fact that the collected volume just came out. New York Comic Con no doubt boosted the hype for Doomsday Clock. All the Marvel lenticulars performed decent despite not many cresting the top 10. We just recently announced Donny Cates' first store signing on December 9th. and saw a rise in the sales on Baby Teeth. Now that might be why it cut into the top 10. And the newly released comic format edition of A Tomahawk sold really well. Wonder Woman has climbed to a higher position with James Robinson writing, and the return of Grail. Metal is continuing its triumphant reign over the rest of the books that are coming out this weekly, that looks like it's going to be the status quo for as long as it has a title coming out. Action Comics came in second, followed closely behind by Baby Teeth. Amazing Spider-Man made it to number 7. DC Books dominated the rest of the top 10. The Murder Machine and the Dawnbreaker are still selling consistently and managed to make it into the top 20 on their third and second week, respectively. Legacy barely has a leg to stand on. Amazing Spider-Man managed to break into the top 10 for the first time in a long while. I don't know if it was the large number or the new direction, but we'll see if the numbers can hold. The only other Marvel books in the top 20 were Weapon X, Defenders, and X-Men Blue, all of which were outsold by Ragman. Of all the books, I can't think of a Marvel book that'll beat the sadly low sales of Amazing Spider-Man just based off the idea of legacy. We'll push Doctor Strange and Thanos as they're being written by FFF favorite Donny Cates, and the movies might help, but I just don't see the numbers going up dramatically enough to make much of a difference. I have to be honest, I think of all the quotes, this one is the most biting. It's also the one that tells me that this could be real. I don't think that Rich Johnston could be this poetic. I mean, he's basically a cheerleader for Marvel Comics. I think this is a reach out, see that we're not biased kind of article that they toss occasionally to try to fool everybody. But this is the most damning against Marvel right here. Saga and All-Star Batman managed to sneak into the tail end of the top 10 even on their third and second week. Marvel lenticulars saw a few more people coming in for them this week, but Metal still outsold any of the Marvel books 3-1. Action was 2-1. Indie books are still solidly gaining new fans as story, art, content drive most readers' decisions. Keeping with the patterns of the last few weeks, DC is still running the show sales-wise at our store. More specifically, Batman is lifting most of the weight. Dark Knight's Metal number 3 is our top seller, showing there's still plenty of steam in fan-favorite Batman team of Scott Snyder and Greg Capullo. And this is retailers, ladies and gentlemen. Usually we use the numbers for what is sold to the retailers. Once again, we are the customers of the shops are the customers of Marvel. So Marvel believes that everything's doing fine because they are able to rate the retailers across the coals. More on this in a little bit. Also moving very well for us this week is Mr. Miracle number 3, and it does my heart good to see Tom King and Mitch Gerads' excellent layered take on Scott Free proving to be such a hit. I agree with that, absolutely. In the middle of the pack, we had Marvel's biggest seller for us this week, Amazing Spider-Man 789, the first issue of that series to go back to legacy numbering and Marvel's recent push to try and look backwards and forwards simultaneously. The rest of our top sellers list is pretty much usual suspects: Wonder Woman 32, X-Men Blue 13, Flash number 32, and the like. I'm hoping it won't be too long before we see something exciting shape up our weekly sales a bit. Metal 3 is our top seller this week, with Mr. Miracle number 3 in second place, which is quickly becoming a pattern on weeks that they come out. Both books are holding strong, and Mr. Miracle especially is something our customers get excited about when they see it in their pull. No legacy titles made the top 10 this week, but 3 other Marvel titles did, so it's not all bad. Okay, but he didn't list what the Marvel titles were. That's interesting. Remember when I was talking about damning statements? Only one Marvel made our top 10 list this week, and that was Amazing Spider-Man 789. Okay, we've heard this before. Otherwise, the list was all DC. Negative response to Marvel Legacy has been very strong because customers are frustrated that they can't just buy the lenticular variant covers they want at cover price. Ooh, yeah, all that dicking around with the shops messed up. Unfortunately, we'll have to adjust our numbers down to pre-legacy quantities beginning next month, which is a shame. There are some good books in here that are getting overlooked because Marvel went for the sell-in rather than supporting the sell-through. Maybe DC could initiate a program whereby we strip out unsold Marvel Legacy titles and ship them to DC for a limited Doomsday Clock variant. That is absolutely telling. This is where everything comes down to. This guy basically says DC's doing it right and Marvel is doing it wrong. That all they care about is getting people in to buy this book right now, not getting them interested in what's coming out next month as well. And one thing about comic books, and this has always been true, is that issue 1 is the commercial for issue 2. Issue 2 is the commercial for issue 3. That's the way it always should be. Even if the story ends at issue 3, it should be so good that you want to go back to the store for issue 4 to read the next story. So every issue is a commercial for the next one. And Marvel has either forgotten it or they never bothered to learn. And by that I mean, and I truly believe it's the latter and not the former, because both Tom Brevoort and Alexis Alonso have said that they've been in this business, or at least been collectors, for 30 years, 40 years, same as me. But they forget the likes of Jim Lee. They forget how it was to be a collector. And anytime somebody says, hey, you're doing something wrong, they take it personal. They push back. I'm wondering, though, how much is them and how much is from on high? How much is Marvel destroying themselves now because they think that the movies or in phase 4 or whatever they're calling it is going to tie in with the book, so they want to give these characters a start, except for nobody's freaking interested in them. So it makes you wonder, how willing are they to destroy the company before the movies to adhere to what the movies are saying? And the movies aren't even saying it yet. Once again, it's just a bad rollout. One more bad rollout. And nobody wants it. Anyway, if you go and you just stop buying Marvel, you're going to hurt your shop. So if you're not interested in Marvel, don't just stop buying. Go to them and say, you know what? Don't order Marvel for me anymore. Don't even bother. Next month's issue, don't bother. Order one less. I don't want it. It's not worth it to me. It's not worth it to me to have you order this for me. Tell them that. Don't just let them order it and you not buy it. But that's just my opinion. What is yours? What do you think about this whole thing? Once again, it is just because it's a bit of confirmation bias for us doesn't mean it's dead on. But if it is right, what do you think about it? Do you agree with what they're saying? Do you not see a problem with Marvel? Or once again, this is a good time to rail off on what you're really feeling, because I know a lot of people are passionate about this, watching this once great company be run into the dirt by a couple of ideologues. And that's what this is. If it's not word on high, it's ideologues who want to prove to you that they're right and you're wrong. So let me know in the comments below how you feel about this whole shebang. And here goes the pitch. Also, if you haven't done this yet, hit subscribe and that notification bell so you don't miss anything from us anymore. Especially if you like the videos, you know. If you don't like the videos, do that so you can yell at me for how stupid I am. That works too. Also, if you do like these videos, head on over to Patreon or VIDME. We've got the links in the description below. Drop $1 in the till. Help us keep the lights on. Help us keep this thing going. We certainly appreciate everybody who's already done that. And to everyone, all of the true believers, thank you very, very much for watching.